One of my favorite archetypes of basketball players are defenders who play like DBs. And Jalen Suggs is probably the premier example of that in the NBA right now. He is one of the best defenders in the league, full stop. And I think he's defending like the best guard in the league at an elite level, both on and off the ball. And it starts with his instincts. Jalen Johnson has not even thrown this pass, and yet Suggs is already explosive in his stance. Instincts and explosion. The short and long area explosion are just ridiculous. It's crazy how fast he gets from point A to point B. It's like an elite free safety, who are like my favorite position of football. Shout out Malik Hooker. If any of you are OG Malik Hooker respecters, then I love you. But Jalen Suggs has crazy instincts again. He throws himself into the stand, and he kind of plays defense like a maniac, which is obviously awesome. But again, like a full court transition type pass, aggressive, jumping, and he has some of the best reflexes for a guard that I can remember. He's standing with his arms totally at rest when Landry Shamet loads this pass up. One pass away, that is, which is normally a very safe, low effort pass, and nope, Jalen Suggs is just going to stick his paws up, get an easy steal, and throw a lob in transition. These young Magic are absolutely electric and have been probably my favorite team to watch this year. And if you aren't watching the Magic, you should be. Those instincts and closing speed make him an excellent 2v1 backside defender, and Orlando's transition defense is part of what makes them so deadly. It's hard to get easy buckets on them in early offense. We see Franz communicating right here, and Suggs covering 2v1. He's sitting in the middle of the defenders, waiting for Clarkson to pick a pass, and Suggs is always going to get there with his incredible length and instincts and reaction time and explosion. And he's also one of the best guard rim protectors in the league. He's like top 8 or 10 or something in guard block rate, and it's obvious too. He's such an explosive leaper. He times it so well. He's not afraid to make these impact contests at the rim. And it's really cool to see Suggs dominate as a rim protector. He jumps before this might be his craziest block of the season, where he jumps before Shaden even possesses the ball. He like totally mistimes this play because of Shaden bobbling it, and yet he's still able to block this on the way down. Let's try to really pay attention to that left hand and how he gets that ball. I don't know if it's a block or a deflection, but the way that Suggs is just dominating every single aspect of defense reminds me of how he was in high school. College Jalen Suggs was like a pretty good off-ball defender, but was limited in a lot of ways, especially on the ball. He's made huge defensive progression in his career so far, which huge props to him, of course. But this is like what he looks like playing mid-ish, like public high school competition. The kind of guy who can shut you down at the point of attack, double, and just kind of freelance out there and make ridiculous rotations with his awareness and instincts and explosion, all the same stuff that he's doing now in the NBA. But of course, it has more of like a pro look to it at this point. Suggs is a vicious nail help defender, free throw line extended, where I don't know why I just did that, but you cannot be lazy with the ball at the elbows or free throw line extended with Suggs lurking, because he is going to rip you here. He's going to come from behind. He's going to take that gamble. And most of the time he's going to win, and he's going to pick your pocket, because that's just what Jalen Suggs does. There aren't many guards in the league who would be able to make a rear view contest like this. He's able to, or Terry's able to get downhill and find Mark Williams on this pick and roll. And look where Look where Jalen Suggs is when 7'3" Mark Williams is getting above the rim. Just great timing. Perfectly times his 2-foot leap to get up there and block that shot. This secondary rim protection is so valuable in the modern league, especially having a guard who can do it. And he's just a very high motor player, which is always valuable. We see him begin this play with an impressive contest. His screen nav is awesome, even if a bit inconsistent. He like kind of gets a hand up late. Kyrie misses, but he stays in the play here and is able to stick with Kyrie. Hands are always in the passing lanes. That's something to notice with Jalen Suggs, is his hands are always in the passing lanes. He's always looking to get deflections and steals and make plays. And that even occurs in like scramble situations where after this offensive rebound, he comes from behind and swats Anthony Davis, who ends up scoring. But regardless, this is just very impressive for a guard in Jalen Suggs. His hand placement is so perfect. Just get that ball out of there. Most guards, especially, would just swipe and foul. But Suggs has the skill as a rim protector. Rim protection is like a massive skill that a lot of bigs don't even have, really. It's not just being big and explosive, and Suggs absolutely has that rim protecting skill. He has that rim protecting gene, and it's a huge component of what makes him special. And the fact that he's willing and able to go up and challenge is a lot of guards, even with good like off-ball awareness and positioning, will get themselves into position to make a contest, but either won't have the tools or the motor or the willingness to contest. But look at Jalen Suggs elevating with John Collins, and they call this a foul, and maybe this is a foul on the way down, like if Suggs is kind of pushing, but he's able to high point this ball with one of the most athletic lob threats in the league, recovering after he got beat in the pick and roll. Like, that is just ridiculous. And it is these kind of plays that allow the Magic to play the aggressive hunting scheme that they do. And even his fouls, like we saw on that last play and this one, are ridiculous. Like, look how explosive Jalen Suggs is. He just like shot out of a cannon straight at Trae Young. And this is why his like gambles, or quote unquote like gambles, forays for steals are so effective, because of how explosive he is. Players don't have time to react to his movements. Normally, a player will have time to see someone coming if they're going for a steal or trying to make a play, but Suggs, with how quick and explosive he is, totally takes those windows away, and that's a big part of what makes him such a special off-ball defender. Like I said, the motor, just remarkable. Even when he does miss on gambles, which happens, right? He goes for the steal. It's just going to happen when you play the style he does. One, he knows the Magic are always going to be sending backline help, and they're always going to have a guy like Gogo, who's been playing really well this year, or Wendell Carter back at the rim. But he's able to get back in this play and actually make a contest that possibly affected that shot. And that kind of motor is, especially like during like the grind of the regular season, where a lot of even good defenders have their motor like waxing and waning, Suggs really doesn't do that. And then on the ball, he's super strong. The great hands as well allow him to shut down and create turnovers on the ball, to pick guys' pocket all the time. And he's just a very ridiculous mover. We see the rim protection shine as a primary defender as well. Really good job sticking with Kobe White after he rejects the screen. He's a bit of a turn and chase point of attack defender, which I talked about on this channel. Obviously, the benefits of this being you can really run with a guy north-south, and Suggs is able to get up off of 1 foot this time. A lot of players can't jump off of both feet. Jalen Suggs can, but obviously the disadvantage of this is you're really weak to change in direction, which we'll talk about in a bit as a minor-ish weakness in terms of Suggs' point of attack defense. But Suggs kind of just like flexes on you on defense. Like, he kind of plays defense like Anthony Edwards plays offense, a very like flashy, like fuck you style, and I absolutely love it, where Suggs has such incredible movement skills and feet. Look how quick his feet work, how fast his hips open, that he can just like get in box out position, beat Clarkson to a spot before he even leaves the ground, and trust his guys to rim protect for him. And this is something that I've noticed with a lot of Jalen Suggs' defensive possessions this year, and I believe the years prior, if I remember correctly. But he doesn't really finish these point of attack plays a lot of the time, and I don't think it's an ability thing, because obviously we see plays like this where he finishes the play beautifully all by himself. But in most situations, the Magic are very heavy bringing help. They have a lot of guys flying around to protect the rim, and Suggs will often like stop his route at this point, if he's not like glued totally to him. Poole gets a step right here, and Suggs kind of just relaxes here and trusts his scheme. So I don't really know if that's an individual error or if that's a scheme decision. And again, part of the challenges of evaluating defense from a bird's eye view is not having this kind of inside information. But there definitely are moments when the gambling hurts him on the off-ball defense side of things, where he's looking to jump this DHO but doesn't realize that Halliburton is slipping right past him for what could have been a wide open layup there. And Suggs does get burned by that turn and chase as well. Like I mentioned, we see Suggs here open up totally and run basically his chest pointed mostly towards the baseline. And that means when Hardy decelerates here, Suggs isn't able to stop with him, and he's really vulnerable to that kind of change of speed, change of direction when he's guarding at the point of attack like that. But of course, this is all like relative nitpick for a guy who has been very dominant. And the gamble-heavy style extends to on the ball. If you're going to pick out a weakness, we see him reaching, hand in the cookie jar, going for a steal. He's hunched over. This is not explosive lateral position, and Reeves is able to get right by him on this play. But you can nitpick weaknesses with any defender in the league, regardless of how good they are, and any defender of all time. But Suggs is putting on a special guard defender campaign, and of course the Magic are a surprise team. They're killing it. Their defense is suffocating, and they have excellent personnel across the board, but Suggs is the linchpin. They rely on him to make their aggressive scheme go, and he does so many things for you. He can defend the ball. He can defend as a low man. He can defend as a nail. He can be your primary help rotational defender, and he adds so much as a transition defender and a turnover creator as well. I'm very excited to see Suggs continue to play this year and develop, because he's pretty young. A lot of like the best guard defenders in the league, like Caruso, Derek White, even like Drew Holiday once upon a time, or Marcus Smart, tend to develop into these elite defenders a little bit later into their careers, and Suggs isn't even 24, I don't think. So the ceiling is not even there yet, and that's really scary.